Hello and welcome to Faith Matters. This is the programme where we look at Liverpool life through the prism of faith and belief. And our guests today are Reverends Jean Flood and Chris Daniel-McKeigue from Mission in the Economy. Now, I think it was Bill Clinton in one of his presidential campaigns that used the slogan, "It's the economy, stupid." And again, in the forthcoming election campaigns, the major issue that the parties appear to be campaigning on is the economy. So the economy is important. And your Mission in the Economy, tell us a little bit about Mission in the Economy, how you started, how long you've been going, and what is it you do?
Well, a Mission in the Economy is an ecumenical organisation, which means that we work on behalf of all the mainstream denominations, and we work across the Merseyside area. And the way that our remit really is to engage with the business community, to build bridges between the business community and the faith communities. And we do that in various ways, but one of the most obvious ways that we do that is to place chaplains in retail malls, in shops and markets and the airport, lots of obscure places you wouldn't necessarily expect to find a chaplain. And they build relationships across the spectrum, from people working on the shop floor right up to the management, provide a listening ear for problems at both ends of those spectrums, and just, serve the people as best we can in the name of God.
And how long have you been running? What's the history?
Well, Mission in the Economy arose from Liverpool Industrial Mission years ago, when there was obviously more industry in this area, and I like to think that we've moved with the times, so that now we are in the places where people work. So that's in the service industries, in commerce and in business.
Where the growth is.
Where the growth is.
And you're operating, like you said, across the Merseyside city region. Mm-hmm. Tell us some of the towns and areas that you're working in.
Right. We work across the Liverpool Anglican diocesan area really, but we do wander into other areas when depends what's happening. But we have a base in St Helens and also in Warrington. And we do some work in Southport and occasionally in Birkenhead. And we're always looking to expand in various ways. But at the moment, those three areas are the key areas: Liverpool, St Helens and Warrington.
Yeah. And I like that idea of wandering, actually, because in the Celtic Church, the ancient Celtic, and we are a Celtic city here, really, in Liverpool, you had this a ministry of priests who would wander. They were called the peregrinatio. I don't know if you've heard of that. They would literally wander into the communities with the love of God, it was said. Chris, you work in St Helens as a kind of town centre chaplain. Yes. Tell us some of the issues there. What is it you do there? How do those issues in St Helens differ from those perhaps in the city centre where Jean is based?
Okay, well, there's quite a bit of wandering involved. I'm part-time based in St Helens Town Centre. A lot of what I do is about relationship, really. So it's about meeting people, talking with them, listening, a lot of listening to people, and trying to sort of be Jesus in that context, really. So there's a lot of sort of being alongside people. I spend a lot of time in the market. That's one of my key roles.
And what kind of market is it there?
It's a great market, St Helens, if you've never been. It's really good, quite diverse.
Have to get down there.
Yeah, you will. Do a plug for the market. I've got a lot of different sellers. You've got haberdashers, there's a fishmonger, I think there's a bodybuilders, and everything you'd expect, school uniform shop. We've got a little bit of everything, sort of a beauty section as well. So it's quite diverse. So I spend quite a lot of time there, sort of starting to get to know people, and we've got a prayer stall there as well.
And what do you do? How does that work?
Well, it was just an idea for something to do in Advent before Christmas, and to invite people to pray. And we were offered, a unit to be a presence in the market. So we decided to have a prayer stall. So we've just sort of set something up which feels hopefully quite prayerful. We have a bit of a theme. We have volunteers that man it on a Thursday now quite regularly, and so we invite people to come and light a candle if they want to.
And people do that.
Yeah, they do.
It's interesting that
we have a board up. At the moment, we had a tree at Christmas for people to put prayers on. At the moment, we've got sort of a board on the wall and invite people to write on post-it notes and stick them up. And I mean, I didn't know whether people would use it, but we leave it open in the week, and when we come back, there's more prayers
And
on
so
the board.
do you think people are more open and willing to sort of pray in that sort of setting perhaps than go into a church? What do you think?
I think maybe there's an element of that. It's very accessible because it's an ordinary stall, so it's open on two sides, so people can literally wander through. It's great for access. We had a lady the other week who we opened at 10 and she came and she said, I came early and you weren't here, and she comes in an electric buggy and rides right up to the candles, and she's just at the absolute right level and was able to light a candle and then write a prayer, and it was a powerful moment really of it's accessible, it's church without threshold,
And
church without walls.
I mean, that's what Jesus did, didn't he? I mean, Jesus went out into he didn't really stay in religious buildings.
No, that's right.
He was out in the community with the people, and
Oh, yeah,
out with
absolutely.
traders, and
He went out into the marketplace.
he did. He was in the
And
marketplace.
that's what we do, yeah.
Now, you're Jean. You are the coordinator for Mission in the Economy right across the area, but you have a specific role in St John's, the iconic St John's Market. Tell us a little bit about that market, because it's an international market, that, isn't it?
It is. It's perhaps not as international as it used to be, unfortunately, because market trade has been, really badly affected by the economy, by the recent changes in the economy, and particularly in Liverpool, when we've had new developments at Liverpool 1, and that has all impacted our market trade. So, but we have had traders from across the globe, Filipinos, from Ghana, China, Ireland, even Manchester. So we have...
So it's the world in one market.
It is world in one market. So I like to think of it as a microcosm of the world, really. And it's a great place because you have this mix of people that have that love for the market in common, really. So they're like a big family, quite dysfunctional at times, but, as most families are. But they really care for their customers. So there's lots of regular customers that come and will spend the whole day in the market several times a week, and can do that there. Traders, they're friends of the traders. You find some of the customers looking after stalls for traders while they go off for a cup of tea, various things like that.
Amazing.
Personal service that you wouldn't get in some of the slicker shops, shall I say. So there's a huge social value in the market, although it might not show up on a profit sheet, on a balance sheet that way. If the market wasn't there, lots of people would suffer socially from the loss of it, really.
And what do you do similar to Chris? You kind of wander around? And,
I wander around, yeah. We call it, we're wandering with intent, God's intent. So we don't have a particular space permanently in the market, but we do arrange things at suitable times. So we always have a memorial service, a remembrance service. At Christmas, we've had lots of different events to mark out special occasions for people and to raise awareness of what those seasons are really about. And that's much appreciated by all the traders and customers in the market, whatever faith and religion
and
they
people
are.
take part.
People take part and they're very welcoming and respectful of people who honour their religion in that way, who take their faith seriously.
Now, I was told that, years ago, if a priest was to walk through a market in Liverpool with an empty bag, that when they came out the other end, the bag would be full of vegetables. And does that kind of thing happen to you? You ever given any nice gifts or anything like that?
I have been given the occasional gift, but sadly, in the market now, there is only one fruit and vegetable shop.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. And there's still several butchers. But, the trade has been so hard that there's been a decline in the diversity, I think, really. But plans are afoot to change that and to make St John's Market into a destination market.
What does that mean?
In that it will attract tourists and visitors to the city.
Right, okay, yeah, I've got you.
It's got huge potential for that to happen because it's in a quite key position opposite the main railway station, in between two train stations, actually. There's a great atmosphere. There are lots of banter in there and things that you can't really buy anywhere but in a market. There's a stall there that you can have your own coffee beans ground. There's a haberdashery. Chris mentioned that actually the same company have a haberdashery stall, which is Very popular because,
Yeah.
of course, craft is reborn now. The
Yeah.
craft is becoming much more
And that, of course, is a consequence probably of the economic situation where people having to make things again. Are you finding that in St Helens, a similar kind of thing going on?
That what? Sorry. That,
With the haberdashery stalls and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, we have got
New types of things
we've
being
had some
sold?
new businesses come.
Or old things being sold again? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Tell us just briefly, before we go to our commercial break, about the airport. What happens at the airport?
We have our chaplain at the airport, Nikki Lees, who's been there for about 9 years now, is viewed as a gem by everybody who's come across her in the airport, and you can't miss her, actually. She's a very bouncy person, but she's done tremendous work building relationships with the staff through, again, really hard financial times when they've been subject to different ownership and contracts and being changed and people made redundant, has been key to keeping the airport going in that way. And actually, their head of HR at the airport has said to me that Nikki, our chaplain, is her secret weapon in industrial relations, because she'll send Nikki in first to calm things down before things get more heated.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. We're going to come back and hear some more after our commercial break. Thanks, Jean. Thanks, Chris. Welcome back to Faith Matters and to our guests, Jean and Chris from Mission in the Economy. Now, we want to hear from you, viewers. We want to hear your opinions about the show, any suggestions if you know anybody or you want to come on and represent a particular spiritual perspective. And you can email us at faithmatters@baytvliverpool.com. Okay, Jean and Chris. Jean, what do you think are the major social and economic challenges affecting the city region, and what can you do, even in a small way, to address these? What are you doing?
Well, I think that one of the things that we do that might help, and we pray helps, is that we have networking events, both in Liverpool City Centre and in St Helens and Warrington, where we bring the movers and shakers, if you like, face to face with the faith communities and also people on the ground, because particularly in the market, the recent economic climate has really impacted. So we get both ends. We get people that are on benefits and suffering from the effects of the bedroom tax, for instance, or even if they're not actually directly affected, are fearful of the future, if that can happen now, what's to come, really. But also with managers who have to make people redundant, self-employed people whose livelihoods, like market traders, independent businesses, small businesses.
Because you were a market trader yourself at one point.
We weren't a market trader. We had retail business where we sell cake decorating equipment.
Yeah.
And we had several shops across the Merseyside area. So I can empathise, which I find a lot of our chaplains have, particular empathy and passion for the place where they work because they've had some connection somehow with it. So I can empathise with how small independent traders feel in the face of this, economic crisis and pressure. Very hard. So I can listen to them and really understand how they're feeling. And when I'm listening, as Chris was saying before, it's about active listening. I'm not just listening, I'm actually praying for them too. And bringing them some comfort, I hope, and bringing them some hope and telling them that, there is always hope, no matter how bad it gets.
So when you have these networking events, you're bringing, say, traders and other people, and you've got your business representatives and maybe some political figures there, they hear what's going on. So you're facilitating that kind of forum.
Yeah, we hope so. And as a chaplain, I help the market traders I hope I help by being part of their tenants association. So we'll attend meetings with key people in the council with them. And so I'm a sort of neutral figure. And that's another important aspect of chaplaincy, where you can be part of, but apart from And it's a really unique, I believe, God-given position in that you can see both sides of the story, and you have to learn how to keep the big picture in mind the whole time.
Okay, and 0-hour contracts are a big thing, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah.
Chris, do you come across people working on those contracts in
It's
St
full of,
Helens?
yeah, some people have talked about some of the issues with working and being exploited in the workplace. And it's very difficult because people need the work, and so almost they're willing to be exploited as well because they're in desperate situations.
Yeah.
So you do hear some difficult stories, really, of the reality of living.
And your background was in play
Therapy
you
and
play
drama
therapy.
therapy. That's
And
right,
do you
yes.
find that in the way that Jean's just described, that creates empathy with people?
I think, yeah, I mean, a lot of my work was working with people in difficult situations, and again, that easily transfers to chaplaincy. I think in chaplaincy, you're almost a jack of all trades, really.
And
So
you've got the
it's-
part-time workforce, of which a lot of will be mothers coming to work, and you've got the whole issue of childcare and the costs of that.
Yes.
I expect
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, as a mother myself, I can
Oh,
relate to
yeah,
that. So
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of issues affecting people in it, and it is a struggle. But there's good news as well. And we had a meeting recently at the council, and had some really good stories about what's happening. We're getting new businesses in to St Helens. We've met and exceeded our target for housing in St Helens. So there's good news as well.
And you got street
amongst
pastors,
that.
I know, coming to, because we had the police on last week, and Jonathan was
right.
saying
Yes.
street pastors coming to St Helens.
The
So
churches are working together. We've got a number of churches involved to try and bring this out, because in missionary economy we focus a lot on the daytime economy, but the nighttime economy is just as important.
It is, absolutely.
And it's great to see the churches working together and wanting to move this out, and working in partnership with the police and other stakeholders who are
Because it's all
wanting it
about
to happen.
partnership, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
And in these kind of times, we're talking about, the economic climate. It is
yes.
about people working together.
Well, I had some advice recently from the big issue seller in St Helens. I was talking to him about where he gets his coffees and whether we could get him some from the church. He said, oh, no, but it's really important for me to go and buy coffees here, because I don't live here, but this is where I earn my money, and I need to be reinvesting in the economy here. And I think that's really, really good advice, that's what we all need to do. We perhaps don't feel we can make a big impact politically, but it's where we spend our pounds as well, and we do need to be focusing on our town centres and our neighbours. It's about showing our love for our neighbour, to support traders and to support businesses who are struggling at the moment.
I've actually come from an event today, in St Helens, all about collaboration of the churches with lots of different agencies working together for the good community. Stay-at-home project for the elderly, families for children project for children who might be a family in crisis position for even very short time, an hour or so, looking for people that will look after those children just on a short-term basis, and lots of other collaborative possibilities for the churches to become engaged in, and also good for us as chaplains, because a lot of our work we come across people in great need, so it's useful to have the knowledge of agencies and people that you can signpost them to, knowing that they will get the help they need.
Now, you've spoken about being cross-denominational and interfaith. You're moving towards that, being an interfaith organisation. Now, we live in a time when there's a lot of tensions or perceived tensions around interfaith kind of issues. And what do you think you can do as an organisation, and what are you doing on the ground to address those kind of issues within the workplace, within the marketplace?
Well, for instance, in the market, 50% of the traders are British Asian, and as I was saying earlier, they have great respect for people who honour their religion. So I've never had any problems at all. I am challenged, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
On occasion, and I quite enjoy the challenge. But the Muslim community, for instance, are quite heartbroken at times about being tarred with the same brush as terrorists.
Yeah.
When actually their religion teaches peace and love the same as ours does. So there's a lot of relationship building and commonality to work on. And I think we try to do that by highlighting these issues to whoever will listen, I think Liverpool is on the verge of great interfaith work, really.
It's a very tolerant city, isn't it?
It's a very friendly, tolerant city, and of course we're an up-and-coming tourist destination with people visiting from all over the world. We have these huge events, don't we, which are, you know, magnificent, wonderful events, and so we need to be able to cater for people of other faiths and understand where they're coming from. So part of our work has been, like last year we had the International Festival for Business in Liverpool, and we set up a prayer room. It was a huge learning curve. So we're hopeful that if that exercise can be repeated in 2016, we'll do it better. But there's a need to cater for people and respect them back in their faiths.
That's great. Now, just very briefly, tell us what you're doing for Easter, very briefly.
At Easter, we usually have sort of procession, Stations of the Cross. This year we've decided to do it differently. Where we had a Christmas tree at Christmas, right in the middle of the shopping area in Liverpool in Church Street, we hope to have an inflatable church. We've been able to come across a church with the help of our local regional Baptist minister, but we need, so I'm appealing to anybody who is listening really, we need a company that will inflate that for us and take responsibility for the health and safety that's...
Okay, so a company that you're putting that appeal out now.
Yeah, I'm putting that appeal out now. We'd like to have a church in the middle of Church Street where we haven't had one before, just to show people the significance of Easter.
Church. But you got the church, you need just somebody to look after it and inflate it for you. That just sounds like a great project. I shall come along and bounce on that. I'll bring our team from here. That would be great. And so really great to have you with us. Now, you're always after volunteers. Are you chaplain volunteers, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we never turn volunteers away. Our volunteers are really special people because I'm sure, well, I hope that you have picked up that, you know, chaplains are special people. I'm sure Chris is a prime example of all the wonderful work she's doing in St Helens. But if people feel called to this ministry,
we're coming to the end now. It's really, but it's great. And do volunteer for Mission in the Economy.
Yes,
great
do.
to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.